we are live.
Hey.
Hello.
For once you didn't catch me drinking the coffee.
Glass up in the air. Nice. So how's it going? Enjoying the rain?
It wasn't raining. Well, it only started raining when I came over, and it hasn't rained since. Yeah, I don't know. As long as you don't get another typhoon, it's fine.
Yeah. We were supposed to have really bad weather these last few days and didn't. Everyone else is still is baking though. I've heard a lot of people complaining about heat.
It's cooling down. Who knows for how long, but it's still pretty humid, yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah. That'll be nice to see the end of this season.
I forget what comes after the cicada season.
Yeah, we've got the typhoon. We get a month of typhoons, and then hopefully they've been talking. I read that Japan is trying to figure out how to control
weather.
Tourism, so it's not so out of control, because some of the temples and stuff are so crowded you can't even you can't do anything.
Yep.
So they're trying to figure out how to incentivize not going all at the same time, and there's if you don't plan very far ahead and you want to stay in Tokyo or whatever, there's no hotel rooms, then there's no Airbnbs, there's nothing, so it's many people, so many visitors.
Foreigners stay home.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it's very funny. All right. So not much. So we're going to finish the first Star Trek adventure tomorrow. Nice. They're dealing with a plague on a planet that was being held. I should post. I did a bunch of character art for the. Cool. I should post it on social media. But a plague that was being controlled by radiation. They built an artificial ring around a planet. And we're just bombarding the planet with gamma rays. So then, of course, a pharmaceutical company provided radiation sickness treatment. And
okay.
The crew is deciding how they're going to handle this, because they're a sufficiently advanced culture that they can intervene, but the prime directive, you have to.
Are you allowed to intervene and stuff like that?
They're good. We'll see how anti-corporate the crew is going to get. Yeah, because it's basically a corporation that took control of an entire planet. Spoilers for anyone that hasn't played the first adventure of Strange New Worlds. Yeah, it's the second collection. We're starting with the second collection of adventures. There's 2 volumes of 8 adventures, and they're just weekly episodes. Right. It's really fun, and they kind of skew them, they set them during different time periods, but it's easy to just update the technology
or downdate.
or downgrade, depending on when people are playing, because things they've got to be pretty simple technologically for if you're playing Enterprise era, because everything is very new, and you don't know, and you haven't discovered anybody. Vulcans, and that's about it. Things slowly unravel. So it's fun. I'm enjoying that. There's enough difference though with the 2D20 system that it's frustrating, because you have to remember, you can do this before and after. Oh, in this game though, no, you can only do it after. I was
wondering about that last time, right? Because
right.
Modiphius 2D20, right? Sometimes is it better to do a completely different game so that you don't mess up the rules, because things are so completely different, or is it better to do same family, but you run the risk of saying,
those tiny things,
that was from the other game that uses a similar version. Right.
Yeah, we ran into that a little bit too with because the Dragonbane and Forbidden Lands are similar in some of their mechanics, except it's not D6 die pool, you're rolling D20s. But some of the push mechanic and stuff kind of puts you in that thinking, how does armor work? It's close enough that
you got to remind yourself of what sort of flavor of this mechanic works in this version of the game.
And they definitely made deliberate decisions to make combat more dangerous, or
it's almost like design matters. Oh my god!
What the heck?
Intentional design. Get out of here. No one does that, right?
Nice. So, I saw you got this may be a little bit old, but you got your replacement tiny soldier. How did that go?
I still haven't. Well, okay. At least onlygames.co. One thing they did this time that they didn't do the first time, they at least divided out the different products into different clamshells. And I ordered 9 different products. They were all 6mm things, but 9. They even distinct listings on the site, right? So I was kind of annoyed when the first time they just dumped everything. Okay, sure, they're all tiny, but you dumped them all into a single clamshell, and now I had to sort them out to make sure I had gotten everything. That was why I was kind of annoyed, because at least put them in different containers, so that implies to me that someone at least checked that there was the correct number, which there wasn't in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so this time they had 9 clamshells, and yes, it was a bigger box. I think it's standard for them to ship stuff in their crinkle paper, which works for 28 millimeter, doesn't work for 6, right? Because it's not a cushion. They just filter right through and go to the bottom, right? So I actually haven't opened up those individual clamshells and counted to make sure I got everything, but I was kind of annoyed with that first order where every other 3D printer that I've ordered stuff from has included extras, or if they're large enough pieces, made sure that things weren't defective, right? If they're small enough, it's kind of like, well, here's some extra ones to cover the breakages or whatever.
Right.
I don't think Only Games did that. Like, some of them were, I don't even know how they put them on the build plate. It's just like, some of them I was like 20% over, and some of them I was like 10% under, where I'm like, what's going on here? So they at least replaced it, which is something, but I'm not that enamored with their service.
Yeah, it's weird. I wonder if they think that people are gonna, because it's a newer technology and different and maybe cheaper in some ways, that people are going to tolerate kind of different, like strange production processes and things like that. Because, people probably for Etsy and things, people tolerate that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, every seller is going to package their stuff differently, and it's not going to be, but when it's something like miniatures, there is kind of a standard, and you're expecting, maybe there's a piece of foam in there, maybe things, So there's ways that we've kind of come to expect things to arrive, and if it's not necessarily that much cheaper, then you're not going to be that forgiving if they're really lazy with their packaging and stuff.
I don't know.
You can just see them just like scraping like cookies off the build plate right into those clamshells.
Well, that's the other thing. Like there were no supports on them, right? Which I thought was kind of weird, right? So for some of the bigger stuff I've had shipped from other companies, like the supports are off. For some of the other stuff, it's like supports are on, where it's like, we're not touching it because if you break it, it's on you, right? Which I understand.
And the labor of having someone sit and
so that. Like I was kind of surprised that Only Games .co took off the supports, right? Which in some cases I think broke little bows and stuff.
Right.
But anyway, so I think that's my possibly first and last order from them. So even though I'd get like a 15% discount if I do a video review of their product. Well, here it is. It's not great, right? Where's my 15% discount on the second order that I'm not going to make?
This is a video, and you are reviewing it. Yeah. So it's strange, and it's not going to last for very long. There's going to be another technology or better materials or something that's going to replace it. So the kind of breakage and stuff is going to be less, but I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. We're early days for a lot of this stuff, and they're just trying to bridge this gap between, fill in the gap for the hobby, the people that don't want to run the actual machines.
I will agree. Like, okay, people have said that 28 millimeter stuff or larger stuff arrived fine. So I'm not saying never use their thing. I'm saying I probably won't. But yeah, like we've talked about before, there is still a gap. I don't know how big, between people who want 3D printed stuff but don't have their own printer. And so this is kind of a valuable service, this or Etsy, right? Especially if you can just kind of like that one-stop shop, right? Like, here's the STL. Oh, all I got to do is go on to click a button and I'm taken to a site that will print this exact thing. Cool. So it's useful. Maybe you'll have better luck with it.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's early days for those guys working with My Mini Factory and stuff, so they should have put forth extra effort to make sure their reputation stays intact, at least for their first few years. We'll see. All right, so are you ready?
All ready
to get started.
It's all set.
Okay, all set.
Yep, there you go.
All right. Welcome to the Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on the Weekly, artists suing AI.
Good for them.
Maybe they can use AI to sue AI, because it does pass the Harvard law exam. And the Mines of Moria are coming. Coffee and Chaos, which I think was a rejected name for this podcast. And Dreams and Machines. And finally, They Grow Up So Fast. So we're just going to touch on a lot of new stuff. So before we do that, Brinkwatch 2023,
bringing it back.
Day 230.
Okay.
So my suggestion is, he's faced down 3 black halflings. I suggest if 6 black halflings working together can actually infiltrate the offices of Wizards of the Coast and surround his desk and kind of, peering over the edge, he will pander so hard that he may accidentally sign a resignation letter, and we may achieve our goals.
Of getting Kyle to resign?
Yes. Hashtag resign Kyle. Yes, so we'll see how hard he panders in his next round of podcast interviews or whatever.
Has he done any?
No, they haven't stepped in enough, or maybe enough involving him that he's going to not have to do that yet. So, but we'll see once this, once their VTT, whatever they're going to call it, comes out, and once they're next year, he may be back on video. He may be zooming in. So we'll see. So day 230 it is. Yes. Ouch. So let's start with AI. So this is a story Matt sent me a link to, and then there was some other supporting stuff, and because we're always kind of going back and forth on this topic, and it seems to come up especially with RPGs, because people are so, just like game masters, they're hungry for like visual assets.
Yep. Okay.
And if you can just say Blade Runner, building, this kind of character, and have it just with text prompts output character artwork, it's like that's too tempting for people. And if they're not selling it, they're using it privately, it's like it's hard to argue. But the means by which that stuff creates is our problem. And that's where we get to Kelly McKiernan. So Kelly McKiernan is a acrylic and watercolor artist who also does some digital work. Her work's been called Surreal, Ethereal, and Dealing with the Discomfort in the Human Journey. Okay. And she realized something interesting about a year ago. There were images online that were eerily resembled her distinctive style. And so she's based in Nashville and does both fine art and illustration, and found out that there are companies that are feeding her artwork into AI systems to train them, so part of the data set. So a quote from her says, "People were tagging me on Twitter. I would respond, 'Hey, this makes me uncomfortable. I didn't give my consent or my name or the work to be used in that way.' I even reached out to some of these companies and said, 'Hey, I'm a little artist here. I know you're not thinking of me at all, but it would be really cool if you didn't use my work like this.' And crickets, absolutely nothing."
So, okay, I'm wondering, because, the sad reality of the internet is it's very hard to find a platform that's not scraping your content for AI, right?
Right.
Like things. So, what I'm getting at, I'm wondering, and I'm not saying it's fine. Had the artist posted these things to websites / social media / something, or were these like fine art pieces, not digital, that had somehow been digitized?
Oh no, they were freely available, probably on a portfolio page or somewhere. Yeah, so work she had done or a portfolio, because artists want to show their previous work, so it's publicly available, and if it's going to get scraped, then without their consent, so it's difficult. So now she is one of 3 artists that are going to sue the makers of AI tools. So a San Francisco federal judge is going to decide, and unfortunately, he's already voiced some doubt about whether AI companies are infringing on copyright.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this may not be a winner here. So she goes on to say, "We're David and Goliath here at the end of the day. Someone's profiting from my work. I had to pay rent yesterday. I'm $200 short, and that's how desperate I am. How desperate things are now. It just doesn't feel right." So along with Carla Ortiz and Sarah Anderson, they are going up against Stability AI, a London-based company, the makers of Stable Diffusion, and also included in the case are Midjourney and the online gallery DeviantArt, who just openly said, "Hey, anything you posted here, we're using, we're feeding into our tools. We don't need your permission," because of whatever their user agreement already was. So the suit that they're filing alleges that AI generators are violating the rights of millions of artists by ingesting huge troves of digital images and then producing derivative works that compete with the originals. So they're working to, they don't want to be exploited in this way, and they're trying to kind of take a stand here. And so Stability, the Stability AI, responded, and they said, "We are making entirely new and unique images. Our images don't or rarely resemble the images in the training data." So they're claiming that the process is removing it so far from the original data. And so they're another line from them: "Stability AI enables creation. It is not a copyright infringer." Well, we'll find out. So this is the problem. So these large-scale artificial intelligence open network.
Artificial intelligence.
An enormous. So this is an enormous research database known as the Large-Scale Artificial Intelligence Open Network, or LEON.
That's a mouthful.
So run by a school teacher in Hamburg. So his name is Christoph Schumann, and it's a nonprofit project, and he's not being included in this, but this database I think is responsible for a lot of the scraping going on.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a database that's including these images, and a quote from him is saying, "In the last few years, everyone can generate anything: video, images, text, anything you can describe. You can generate it in such a way that no human can tell the difference between AI generated content and professionally generated content." Well, I don't think that's true, but
I'll agree we're getting there.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to quite get there, because I think individuals will always stay ahead. I don't think it's ever going to catch up. But and there was Senate hearings in the U.S. in July. Ben Brooks, the head of public policy for Stability AI, testified there. He said, of course, there is no arrangement in place with the artists. And another artist that was, I think Ortiz. I think she's part of the lawsuit. So she's a concept artist and illustrator, and has been involved in a lot of Marvel and Star Wars projects. And she's quoted during that hearing as saying, "We're kind of the blue-collar workers within the art world. We provide visuals for movies and games. We're the first people to take a stab at what does a visual look like, and that provides a blueprint for the rest of the production." So it's talking about AI, it's an overnight, almost billion-dollar industry. They just took our work, and suddenly we're seeing our names being used thousands and thousands of times, even hundreds and hundreds of times. And so this was during this hearing, and so this also kind of comes. This case lines up with also the U.S. Copyright Office. They recently in August denied the right to an individual to copyright AI generated work, and they have since opened. And a quote, another quote from Ortiz was interesting. "A subscription for $30 a month can generate anything. Instead of paying an artist, these companies are just going to pay that AI license fee." So my fear, last quote from her, "My fear is that our industry will be diminished to such a point that very few of us can make a living." So talking about the U.S. Copyright Office, they are going to open themselves up to a comment period. So an open public comment period beginning, I guess it began August 30th, and will continue through the 18th. And they're looking for replies to everything to be submitted by November 15th of this month.
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, and so they want to, and a few of the questions that they want answers to, they want replies to, are how AI models should use copyright data in training, whether AI material can be copyrighted even without human involvement, and how copyright liability would work with AI. So all of these questions are coming up, and the Copyright Office had a statement, and they said, over the past several years, the office has begun to receive applications to register works that contained AI material. And so it was Stephen Thayer that they refused to grant a copyright to. And there's also, this isn't art related, but also writers, comedians Sarah Silverman, author Christopher Golden, and Richard Kadri have filed legal action against OpenAI and Meta for using their books to train ChatGPT. So they got that wit in there. They get the, the humor.
I hate that it's called AI content, right? It's not intelligent. It should be called AG, automatically generated.
Right.
That's all it is. I don't know. Like, my thing here is, AI generated stuff sucks, right? You are stealing from artists. I don't think this would go through. Like, I don't have a lot of
faith in
that the judgment's going to come down, because I think where it's going to get hung up is whatever user agreement of the site you posted your image on, right? Unfortunately, X is going down, right? And part of the reason X is going down is because, hey, new user agreement. We're collecting all your biometric data and stuff, right? And we're doing all this stuff. And, I think what it's going to come down to is how aware did how aware did the companies make individual users of this term, right? Because there's got to be some kind of user agreement that says, yes, we either will or will not scrape content that's posted here, right?
Oh yeah, but what if it's their own website hosted on their own server? You know, like a lot of artists just build their own websites for their portfolios.
In that case,
so there's no user agreement, and so I think with the consequence, because there are no rules about that, like what can be done with that work. So things like DeviantArt or the Adobe, if you're posting on something that does have a user agreement and a user account, you might be in trouble.
I think that's what it is.
And already Adobe is doing that, but if stuff is just out there or on, I guess, social media, that's an account and that's an agreement. But if it's your website and a portfolio that you put up on a website that you're hosting, then there's they don't have any right to do that. So what's going to happen is everything's going to be behind a wall, or everything's going to have to be so focused on blocking bots, crawling sites, and they already are doing that. There's certain, I think that was mentioned in this article as well. There's certain sites that are working very hard to block any scraping.
Yep. Or there's this new not technology, but new kind of layer thing, glaze, right? Like there's kind of this, I don't know exactly how it works. It's some kind of process you can apply to a digital art that tricks the AI scrapers, right? It's, you glaze your image. And I think there's open source or projects that are doing that. I hope that comes to fruition, because that might be the solution, right? You just have to glaze everything so that AI trying to use your work turns out garbage.
Right. And so I guess the moral is we can't have nice things.
No, we can't.
Yeah, because
that's been proven a bunch of times.
Basically, the internet was great, inspiration. You could just look at so many artists' work and creatively be so inspired. And just for storytelling or whatever, there was just this once concept artists and everyone were posting all the stuff that they had done for film projects and game projects. Just this huge amount, and stuff that didn't even get used, stuff that projects were canceled or whatever. There's a lot of creativity out there, and you could just freely go through so much of it. And then somebody got the wise idea to try to make an AI that can reverse engineer it, basically.
I think even before that we ran into problems, because I think I've talked before about how I use a lot of images for work. I use FreePic for that, and I have an account that I use, but talking to sometimes the manager, where I'm just he's like, where did that image come from? It's I just Google searched it. I'm like, we have students paying to use this course, right? So this is a commercial product. My whole point of the analogy there was, I think even before AI, there was it felt like there was a general misunderstanding about what an image being on the internet, what the usage of it was. Right? Just because you went and found something on the internet doesn't mean it's yours, doesn't mean you can use it. But I think somewhere along the line that kind of got mixed up. We're nope, I found it. Look at all these other places I found it. That means I can use it. No.
Right. Yeah, and it was very late in the game that Google Images even said, they had that little line that this image may be copyrighted, copywritten. It's oh, okay, well, yeah. Thanks for posting that so late after everybody ignored that fact for so long. Yeah, so I think we're going to see cases like this, and we just need the right combination of an artist or group of people willing to go through this process and getting the right judge and having the right argument, focusing on these companies, getting these companies to stop doing this. But I don't think it's going to happen, because the weakness of this whole thing is Microsoft and Google and everybody is already behind this. They've already heavily invested in OpenAI and everything. So they're funders of politicians that could make the laws that would restrict this.
Why wouldn't they be? Why wouldn't you have a 30, do you want to pay all these employees to generate content?
Right.
Or do we want to pay $30 a month
Yep.
for a chatbot to spit it out?
Yeah. There was an artist that I saw talking online that said, so art school is basically going to be a prompt writing class. You're just going to sit and you say, okay, so if you say beautiful flower, how about breathtakingly beautiful flower? It's you're just going to learn to write text prompts. You're not going to actually have to hold any brushes or pens in your hand anymore. Yeah, so Chuck Schumer is the Senate leader that is called on his peers to pick up the pace in rulemaking against this technology. But
I'm sure that'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many big fish involved in this and that have already invested in this. It's not going anywhere. And the people that are suffering are going to be the people barely that, the freelancers and contractors who are barely making a living doing this. And it's like, yeah, guess what? Now you can work a service job or a warehouse job or retail job, and you can draw in your free time, make it your hobby.
Well, it's called, okay.
Yeah.
I even use it, right? I hate the term content manager, right? Like, that kind of cheapens it, right? Like, no, you're an artist. You make them, no, you just generate content. Generate that damn content for us, right?
Right. Yeah. Write those prompts. So yeah, that's pretty depressing. So we'll see what happens. This may not be successful. They've already said the judge involved is not on their side, but eventually a case may get through that has some effect, because even with huge money against it, if you've got a good legal argument, it may find its way. A sympathetic judge, it may find its way through the system. We're just going to have to see several of these, but it's going to be so late. It'll be so many generations past that these data sets will be eating themselves. Yeah, like they're saying that already AI art is using scraping AI art to generate things. So it's going to kind of spiral back into seven-fingered hands and everything. But something that we can actually look forward to. Yeah. The Mines of Moria. So Free League Publishing is going to be releasing for their two systems, the One Ring and what are they calling the other one? The 5e based.
Trash is what I call it.
Their 5e based system. They're releasing the setting for the Mines of Moria through the doors of Durin for the One Ring. And this is going to be a Kickstarter. And the two books will delve into Khazad-dûm, the exploration amid the city's ruins, ruins of the ancient dwarven city. So 5e version is going to be called Moria, Shadow of Khazad-dûm, and the One Ring version is going to be called Moria through Durin's the doors of Durin. So that's good to name them differently, so that they're different products and they work for different systems, so you don't make that mistake. So they'll contain new foes, updated journey rules for underground exploration, details of the dwarven world, and darker creatures that came after. So there'll be a map, and probably a cloth map. That Free League tends to be doing that now, and top-down view and cross sections of the underground. So yeah, the good thing that came out of this though is it seems that the One Ring version using the D6, the Free League's own system, is outselling the 5e version 6-1. So that's good. Well, people are supporting the.
I gotta wonder, right? And this came up this came up on social media when Free League announced that they were doing the 5e version, right? Okay, like Dungeons and Dragons is now its own thing, right? It's its own genre of fantasy. But it has origins in the Lord of the Rings, right? So this is kind of like, people said it's kind of weird, like, okay, Dungeons & Dragons came out of the Lord of the Rings, became its own thing, and now here's a Lord of the Rings version for Dungeons & Dragons.
Right,
like,
for 5,
like why? Right? So I have to think that the reason the Free League version is outselling the 5e version, like 6-1, is because people who are already invested in D&D say, why do I need this other book? Right? Where people would say, no, I want to play the Lord of the Rings, let's use the Free League version, right?
Yeah, and I also think that 5e anything, people are kind of like, what's happening?
I think there's two camps. There's two camps. Or like, oh yeah, heck yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
right?
No, but I think because Wizards is so unclear about what the hell they're doing, if there's a 6e or not, that people are just like, 5e, is that a thing still? I don't. Is next year? So I buy this book, and the next year they're going to say, oh hey, actually we told you it was going to be 5e enhanced, but it's actually 6e. So yeah, so people are looking. Okay. Yeah, and they said the sales of their more recent releases are just declining crazily because they've created enough market confusion that people are like,
what's going to happen?
Yeah, is there a new version or not? You can't, you guys. So it's their kind of weird backpedaling and cowardly approach to this to try to maintain the player base, and the success they had with 5e is actually creating a drop in sales. So good for them, but. Yes. So, and a bunch of little things. Another thing, Coffee and Chaos. So this may be the way that I can finally get you to play 5e.
I don't think so.
So take your. But what if? Let me just pose this. If you could take your 5e character and run a cafe.
Okay.
So
my first question would be.
Yes.
In what system?
5e. But it's but listen what they do. So you take your 5e character and you give them a stressful day job in food management. So CobblePath Games has has created Coffee and Chaos. So text from their page: do your tabletop characters want to run a cozy but hectic cafe instead of delving into yet another monster and trap-filled dungeon? Well, rather wrangle a broken espresso machine instead of a ornery bugbear, or save your healing spells for the customers who ate 5 croissants in 2 minutes. Comedy tabletop RPG Coffee and Chaos allows you to do all of this in short, fun sessions, and you can even slot them between your 5e adventures. So what they're trying to do is take all the stats and everything that would be on your character sheet in 5e and kind of port them to coffee shop management. So it's not a full setting. It's a supplement printed on a cafe-style trifold menu.
I like it.
Yeah. And it contains rules and resources for taking your party of adventurers into the day job as employees. So instead of creating new characters, you just translate your existing characters' fantasy abilities, so heroes, spells, stats, and weapons into food service appropriate talents. So wizards levitate ingredients, bards can calm a rush of customers, and fighters can subdue the mimic masquerading as a milk steamer. So laughs abound, I guess. So they've devised a cutlery-based system of knives, forks, and spoons as resource tokens. So as a team, you overcome certain challenges using these tokens. So a rush hour of impish demons or a ghost that currently is haunting the supply closet. You use these tokens that you generate to overcome these tasks. So hilarious storytelling is what they're promising us, and no longer than 1 or 2 sessions. So really short, kind of one-shot type stuff. So another quote from them is, Coffee and Chaos was born from a couple of silly ideas. So what if we made a cafe game and printed it on a menu? And then second, what if we used our cutlery instead of dice? So these 2 starting points and a feverish weekend of wild design, we ended up with their first draft of this chaotic comedy. So the designer Fern Milton and writer Stephen Williamson, with artwork by Namali, have created this. So on CobblePath's itch.io page, which I'll put a link to in the description, you can get the digital version. Physical copies are currently available on GameFound from their successful campaign, and you can also in the future buy physical copies through Soul Muppet Publishing at a later date. So check that out. If you're looking for a little coffee-related humor in your fantasy RPGs. So another mysterious way that you can play on your tabletop.
I was going to say, everyone knows my feelings on 5e, right? But I think this is pretty clever, right? Because, dip your toe into indie TTRPG circles, and everyone's talking about it's really hard to get people to play my game. So I understand the appeal, and I think it's pretty smart of, nope, you don't got to convert your character, right? Take your 5e character, everything just keep the same, plop them, and it translates to this. We're playing a slightly different game, but these humorous adventures slot in between quests, or maybe not everyone could show up for a session or something like that, right? So it's we're doing this, right? No, you're still playing your character, right? So 5e, but I still think this is pretty clever.
Yeah, and it's definitely a way, like you're saying, to get people to try an indie style RPG. It might be the first time to do that, and it's the easiest possible way. No, you're still that character. Yep. You're just in a different.
You still have all your stuff.
Yes.
It's just used a little differently.
Right. Yeah. So I think it is a fun approach, and hopefully, that will actually get some people to say, hey, wait a minute, there's a whole world outside of this 5e thing that I started playing. Yes. Speaking of another world that you can start playing in, so Modiphius has an original IP that they've been working on. They play tested it earlier this year, and have been talking about it. They promoted it heavily at Gen Con. I think there were sessions and playtests at Gen Con, or not playtests, but sessions of the game you could play at Gen Con. Dreams and Machines is going to put multiple books on pre-orders, and that happened yesterday. So I guess it's technically today in if it's England or North America, maybe still be. So several items for the TTRPG, including a player's guide, the game master's guide, a toolkit, which is the screen and some supporting materials, a dice set, and of course a collector's slipcase edition.
So this is a multi-book
Yeah, I think
game.
I think they have the kind similar to other systems.
The Holy Trinity, right?
Yeah, a player's guide. Well, that's nice though. That I guess they're separating it between a player's guide and a game master's guide, because if there is a lot that the game master needs to know, and it is kind of mysterious, like you're you're playing mysteries. You don't want players in that book of mysteries reading too much.
I guess. Right?
Yeah. But so the line from their page: venture into a world of mystery and adventure, a world where slumbering mechs dot the landscape and people build their lives anew in the wreckage of paradise. Okay. So some of the new factions of humanity are, you can pick a role for a new faction of humanity: an archivist, a dreamer, an Everan, a river, or a spear. And so they're trying to take the fantasy tropes and kind of like move away from the kind of.
So I heard slumbering mechs. Mm-hmm. Is this like post-apocalyptic
I think
fantasy
so, yeah.
where like there's been this massive age of technology and like we've kind of humanity has largely forgotten about it?
Yeah,
I
think that's what they're talking about, because the world of Evera Prime. So the peoples and so in the book they're talking about the background and setting, the ways of life. So humanity rebuilds communities to begin to thrive. The threat of the dark city, the thralls, and the builder AI loom on the horizon. So I can say it's a bit man versus machine, and maybe some apocalyptic type confrontation happened. So the first book is 208 pages of the core rules, character creation, all that good stuff. It's a brand new version, so it's a 2d20 system, brand new version that uses a spirit as a resource, and then you have your different origins and archetypes. Oh, interesting. Yeah, they're calling them, instead of like races and jobs or whatever, origins and archetypes, with 3 advanced archetypes. A new way to grow your characters, short-term and long-term goals to retire. Oh, so you're actually like aiming to finish something.
I mean, that's the old school D&D, right? After you get a certain level, you retired, right?
Yep. Yes, with all that gold. And then the Game Master's book, 240 pages with full color art, a detailed guide and history of this setting, guidance for Game Masters for running scenes with the core mechanics. So skill tests, truths, threats, hazards, action scenes, the spirit economy. Yeah, so it's I can kind of hear the analogs for the 2d20 in there. So we're using instead of momentum, we're using spirit. Yes, and yes. So what you would expect, and then their 4-panel GM screen with rules reference, and then also a toolkit with other charts and things to help running. And then of course you got to have the custom dice.
Of course.
So a set of 5 d20s with the 1 replaced by the spirit symbol, numbered in so they keep mentioning this like throughout, numbered in Kari's handwriting. So there's some character in this setting, and her handwriting is very unique and recognizable.
Okay.
Because the collector's slipcase also features a special edition with Kari and Abe on the slipcase, and so they've established somebody in the background who has very recognizable handwriting and will be writing on your dice. So I'm curious about this setting. We didn't. I got some of the playtest materials, and we never had a chance to get together and look at any of it, but it sounds like they're trying to do something unique, and maybe Modiphius is getting burnt out of the licensed IP game, because that's where they've had a lot of things lately, and I respect them for playtesting this themselves and taking it direct to market and not crowdfunding. Yeah, they're not Kickstarter or crowdfunding it. So this is their baby, and so I think the only other thing that they pushed pretty hard, the Achtung Cthulhu, is their other, like I think that was one of their original games. The kind of weird World War II Cthulhu game that they was their own property, and so this is one of the few other things that they're kind of doing themselves. So if you're interested in that, of course, and a poster-sized map, of course, would be included. All right, and one more quick mention of stuff that is available, and so it's nice to see them. So Free League again is going back to support a game that's been out for a while and hasn't had any supplements or new adventures. So Tales from the Loop is getting They Grow Up So Fast. So that's out now, and so it's a new campaign specifically for Tales from the Loop, because they did release kind of a sequel game or sequel setting, sequel rule set.
Like Things from the Flood.
Yeah, I think Things from the Flood, which aged up your characters. You could either roll new characters at a little slightly older age, or age up existing characters to play a little bit more, not deadlier, but maybe more critical. Yeah, adventures, not so Goonies, less Goonies and Stranger Things. But we're back to those young kids. So They Grow Up So Fast is a new campaign, Four Tales from the Loop, and they're using that same setting of it's like a magical year. The adventures are set. It's 4 adventures in the book, and each one is a season.
Okay, cool.
So you got a whole year of crazy challenges happening to you at a young age. So text from the back of the book of They Grow Up So Fast. Everything changed that fateful day. Looking back, I know that whatever we did changed our lives forever. The sky ruptured and something strange came through. It was a great adventure that showed us how little we knew about the universe. It was scary and yet magical. I wish I could do it again.
Interesting.
Yeah, so this setting is actually in the UK. Okay. So the 4-part campaign takes place in the UK loop of Norfolk Broads. So they give you background for that loop and kind of the history of that in their setting. But then they also give you tips to, if you've played it before, to put it in your setting. So it can be still based in Sweden or based in a US location that you've come up with. So new art, maps, and handouts will be included in this new campaign. So I'm not clear if it looks like it's a book, like they're one of their last campaign things was a book, but I guess handouts in a book, maybe
it's something old school that you rip out.
Right yes the little perforation. You just take it right out. But I imagine it's going to be a book with the adventure in it. So it's nice to see, though. I'm glad they're going back to this, even though Stranger Things has had its peak, and Kate Bush got some popularity out of it. But I kind of like it. It's that bringing back the 80s kids on bikes thing. It's like, okay, we did that. It's starting to feel a little old, but
we can move on to the 90s, right?
Yeah, that's right. That 90s. These kids now with their drug problems and their grunge music. So I'm happy to see, though, that they're supporting this game, because it's a very fun, mysterious, kind of sweet but weird game, and I think they did a really good job. If you aren't quite sure like how this game should feel or what it's about, I think that Amazon series that they did a Tales from the Loop Amazon series, and it's really odd. It's like, because it's not set in a time that you can recognize. It's not set in a place you can recognize. It's very interesting how they did it, but there's a loop and there's this weird mystery between how time works, how reality works, because of the interference of the particle collider. And so I think if you want to get what the tone of this game should be, instead of, it's not Stranger Things. I mean, you can play it, of course, as Goonies or Stranger Things, but I think they want something a little more weird and subtle, and I think they that show did a really good job of like, okay, wow, because they'd focus on individual characters and almost give you like a Twilight Zone episode, because it's just like, oh, that's weird.
Okay.
And like, so unique consequences or unique like ruptures in reality or things happened, and of course in the ever presence of robots and things that were powered by this newer technology. But I still think it's an interesting game in an interesting setting, and to just shorthand it by saying Stranger Things is not giving it its kind of full due, because they do kind of
doesn't do it justice.
It doesn't do it justice. And it's one of those games too where your characters don't die, they just have to go home, they just have to get somewhere safe, and so that has a nice, you're not putting kids in jeopardy. There's not going to be kids with their heads cut off at the end of a session. And unfortunately, like, I don't think anybody quite gets that, because remember we had the UK Game Expo controversy where the guy started out a game. I think this was Things from the Flood, though, so it was like maybe 15-year-olds that were all assaulted, like sexually assaulted in the back of a van.
That is definitely that one guy's problem, right? That is nothing about the system or the setting. That's that guy.
Yeah, no, and I think that's I think it's not. Yeah, it's not fair that they didn't understand like what the wonderful limitations of this game were, and they had to like make it uncomfortable.
That was them. That's them.
Yes, that was definitely them. Things with kids. So it's nice to see they're still giving support, because this is their original property too. So it's definitely worth keeping it alive. And so that was a bunch of little things that happened this week.
And a lot of AI,
and a lot of AI argument. So that's good. a game, Tales from the Loop, based on an artist's illustrations. So yeah, definitely, while you still can, please support things that actually involve human effort.
Man.
All right, so that'll do it for this week. So where can people find you?
On most social medias. I won't say them. Right, Hivemind, HYVEMYND. Ryan.
You're not gonna do the.
No, I'm not. And one thing, like, I decided end of the month or end of this month, I'm not going to delete the account, but I'm just not going to use X anymore. Right, things are just going too ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, whatever else pops up. Yeah, there you go. So.
Excellent. And I'm still doing my single panel gag cartoon. And yesterday I ate chocolate covered shrimp crackers, which I thought was going to be very upsetting, but the chocolate was so dominating that you barely tasted any seafood.
I'm intrigued now. Yep.
Chocolate covered seafood snacks. So that's not a regular occurrence, but I do eat strange snacks from the convenience store and draw my single panel gag cartoon. So if you'd like to read that cartoon, you can go to gocomics.com/domestic abuse. And if you want to support what we're doing here on the weekly, you can consider becoming a weekling.
Yes, the strongest of all supporters.
Yes, on patreon.com/upturntable. That's one of our tiers. And just let us know what you'd like to see. A lot of our patrons just send us tips and news stories about things they'd like to see us talk about.
Or snacks they want to see.
Or suggested for snacks. And we'll talk about them on the show. And then, of course, after we do this podcast on the live stream and then in the patron RSS audio feed, you get the full discussion where we talk to chat and go back and forth about things that we covered on the show. So upturntable.com is the website, and on all social media, upturntable. And we do this pretty much every week.
Yeah.
So
unless parenting duties are worth keeping me away. Yeah.
Right, or weather or something. Yeah. There are things that can get in the way. But thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Later, mortals.
Goodbye. All right. I'm always surprised how noisy the street sounds when I'm just doing that silence to filter this out. So, but it makes a much nicer audio podcast. So thanks for your patience for that 30 seconds. So, hey, Matt. Hey, Abyss. How's it going? Yeah, Miguel's in Spain still, I think. So the time difference is very different. Good to see you. Yes, we had touched on Brinkwatch. Brinkwatch is back. The number was just getting so high, I had to mention it again. Yeah, the thanks for sending me that link, Matt, about the AI thing, and then I saw the so the article about the lawsuit, and then the Copyright Office asking for public opinion. That was interesting. But yeah, it's just and I think especially tabletop is always going to be dealing with this because I think tabletop role-playing is a creative kind of endeavor. Like, people like the creative aspect of it, and if you can shortcut the image generating process, I think that's so appealing to so many people that either don't have the time or ability to do anything for their sessions. So yeah, I think that it's especially annoying how much people want to use AI to generate, character art and everything for their settings. But then it's so much more worth, either getting somebody to draw something or doing it yourself, because then it's a thing, and then you own it, and then you can sell it if you want, or you can share it and keep some sort of possession over it. But when you're just like generating all this crap from this giant art data set, and I've seen some stuff that the styles skew really funny. I've seen so much stuff that looks like Japanese kids illustration now that people are generating for their like YouTube video essays and stuff. It's very odd, but I think it's going to be an ongoing thing. Hopefully we'll have some victories legally. Artists will have some victories legally, but I'm not holding my breath because of the players involved. Yeah, so Matt's saying, a lot of people in threads are posting stuff. Yeah, it's weird. It's there's some people that you just can't convince that what's wrong about it, or why you shouldn't be, supporting it or leaning so heavily on it. So I don't know. Oh, cool. And Matt was saying 2D20. Oh, wait, first the Lord of the Rings. Right. A game world as in depth and thematic as deep and thematic as Lord of the Rings really needs a systems design for it, like the One Ring. Yeah, slapping it into 5e diminishes it. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I've heard people say that it's a nice conversion. So if you're super comfortable with 5e, it is a way to play that setting. But I think you're right. We gotta try that. You got a chance, I think. Yeah, Matt played a Hobbit for a little while, but I'm curious about the how the One Ring system plays. And Tales from the Loop has a lot in common with that German show Dark. Yeah, that's very true. Without all the without all the adultery and everything. Yes, I think it's definitely has a similar feel. I think they really did a unique job of telling stories in that Amazon series. And I hope people got some inspiration to play that game from that, because it had a really nice atmosphere and a really nice way that they just made things timeless. This interesting technology existed, but everything kind of looked like the early 1960s, possibly in Northern Europe, but nobody had an accent. Yeah, so it was interesting the way that they set that those stories. But obviously they didn't follow up on it, so it's a one-time deal. Yes, and Chris is leaving, the last month to get Chris on X. I hear people saying that. You can find me on X. I'm like, what's X? X equals what? Like, it's such a stupid name for anything. Yeah, so who knows? Yeah, good to see you, Abyss. Oh, that's right. Matt's unboxing. Yeah, we should have done a premiere so you could be in the chat, Matt, and people could you could relive it. You could recreate the frustration and the and I hope you don't mind my Sopranos. I found that the Sopranos gif. I'm like, now this is actually what's going on, and you don't hear it in his voice, but this is what's going on in Matt's head, finding 0 rule books within 2 boxes. But Yeah, that was fun. But you did such a great job of going through Isle of Dread. It was nice that like things just took a hard turn. So instead of like looking at everything in the expert set, you just focused on that one module, because I think that's that was good, and it's a really that was a nice kind of expansion to what was going on from basic, and you captured that really well with how you were going through the module itself. Yes, I think you're right, Abyss. AI is a train that stops for no man. Yeah, it's already in everything, and it's impossible to walk it back. It's already eaten probably all of the great works of literature. Like there's data sets with everything in it already, so you're not going to be able to take that out. And even if you do, like that's going to be the thing. Like, okay, yeah, file your little paperwork and we'll remove the content that you're claiming. This is just like early YouTube days where the studios were like, people are just posting our television shows and our movies on your stupid video streaming platform. So that there was that big line of lawsuits that YouTube had to deal with early days, and then once they were eaten by Google, then the Google legal stepped in and was just like, make an orderly line and file your takedown request, and we'll do it as soon as possible. And that's how it's always been. And then they got that judgment. I'm not sure where that fell, like timing wise, but there was the judgment that they're platforms, not publishers, so they're not responsible for what's on there. So then all they had to do was file removal requests, and that's probably what's going to happen with AI. Okay, here's the data set we used. Go ahead and request things taken down. It's not going to change what the AI has already ingested. It's not going to spit that stuff back out, but we'll take it out of that data set to give you peace of mind. And you filed your little paperwork and you did your little part to protect yourself, but it's too late. It's already been used. So and I don't think America is the country to make good rules or solve that. I think we need to rely on somebody a little more rational and a little less co-opted by big tech like the EU or Asia or somewhere. I don't know. But Abyss says that countries will be forced to pass bills in order to control. Yeah, that's right. I think we're only going to get some sanity out of the EU for these kind of issues. The issue is that AI could solve like 60% of all of our problems and speed up processes by 90% for everything. So not even Google recognizes Twitter. Twitter is X. Oh, that's so funny. The top search still says Twitter. That's funny. Yeah, it may take big entertainment industry lawsuits to rein it in. Yeah, but those companies want to use it. I know. That's the thing. That there's. Yeah, it's a really tricky situation. Now it's just like the strike situation. These companies that have these streaming platforms that don't want to pay residuals from streaming, and they are also talking up how successful these platforms are going to have to like show their numbers. So they're in a situation where they're going to tank their stock or really disappoint the people looking for residuals or royalty checks after the fact. So yeah, but it's the same sort of thing as the AI is like stuck in this weird situation where the people that could rein it in are actually like, but then we won't have to pay something. People will just watch AI written television, right? The quality is already so poor they may not even know. But I think we'll always, just like there's that uncanny valley. I mean, for some people they're never going to notice anything, but I think for a lot of people there will be that uncanny valley of when things are just assembled. The way that this works now, this generative AI works, is just so assembled and strange, and it doesn't have any life to it. And I think people will recognize that, like when you get those weird blocks of text that are AI generated, it's like just nothing there. And the people that have actually written tools to detect AI generated text have played around with that. They've tried to score writing in with like different factors, like different fluctuation or different randomness of expression or different like ways, just the different like devices that people use in writing or conventions, or especially in like written English, the way that like the colorful ways that you write things and also the variation is something that machines can't duplicate at this point. And so it's able to detect. And I think we feel that stuff missing, and maybe we don't, realize it. This just feels bland and weird and metallic. Like our food soon will be, like every interaction we have soon will be. Yeah, it's crazy. So Abyss AI is literally a miracle worker. It'll give a few years until actual cults start popping up. Yes. Oh yeah, definitely, because there's so much science fiction where people are like, worshipping and asking the AIs for answers. Even like what Douglas Adams. So, oh deep thought, great computer, tell us the answer to the question. There will be a 42 will probably be the answer to something in the future that we've waited millennia for. Oh, hey. Thank you so much, Rodrigo Lopez. Thank you for the subscription. Much appreciated. But yeah, I think in the in the Infinity setting, there's kind of AI governance and so but there's also conflict and back and forth. But yeah, I think in a lot of settings, AI becomes the deity, or at least the what should be worshipped. Yes, thanks so much for the sub. Much appreciated. Yeah, subs, I don't know, maybe it's just like summer or whatever, but the subscriptions on this channel have been crazy bad. I don't know what happens. But it's also, YouTube plays those weird games where they like take away subscribers and they give them back, and then they take them away and they give them back, and you're like, wait, what's happening? So you end up with this like net zero thing. It's odd, because I think they have maybe to fight whatever those are called, just like the to kind of dummy accounts that people can buy for channels. Maybe to fight that, they're constantly running different screens and stuff against subscribers. But to have a YouTube channel, and a small YouTube channel, I just watch these like weird fluctuations. Like, I have no idea. Nothing. We didn't do anything differently, and everything starts changing. Appreciate the sub though, as always. Very cool. Nice and wide. There we go. Nice. And only the dude who made her has to watch her live, because AI has the tendency to go rogue every now and then and needs to edit her life. Nice. It's gonna be weird. And it's just laziness and cheapness. The wanting to cut overhead or operations costs, that a lot of stuff is going to be introduced. And it's going to be really rocky for some stuff. I think like a lot of food service and stuff is going to get weird for a while, where it's just going to be like touch screen automats basically, and there'll be literally no one to complain to. Like if you get a moldy or a sandwich with a mouse head in it, there'll be no one to complain to. You'll just have to file. You just have to touch the support screen. It's gonna be bad for a while. And I think it's interesting because a country like Japan embraces technology a lot. Like you'll see in a few train stations, they have these like robot, like half of a robot, information agents and assistants and stuff there that you can talk to. So they like embracing that kind of stuff. But at the same time, there is such a high level of service and customer service and interaction to make people feel comfortable. You go into stores and you're instantly greeted, and people attend to you like very kindly, and at hotels and everything. And so if they lose that, they're going to lose a big part of that culture. But at the same time, I guess that's the kind of the contradiction. They're always embracing new stuff, but it's going to be at the sacrifice of certain stuff. Just an atmosphere will disappear. But it'll be good for all the all the foreign tourists that are invading this country. So my Abyss says, my personal favorite feature at the moment with AI is that you can make anyone a singer. Yeah, right. Yeah, there we go. Hey, Rodrigo, good to see you. I just had a terrible experience with my PlayStation's customer help bot. Sony. I have such a bad situation. I basically had to just abandon my PlayStation account and everything, because I'm physically in Japan, but my account is American, so there is no customer service. Like the Sony customer service is so region based, and I'm able to contact just about any of them. I can contact the UK help or whatever. None of them will assist me because they say you're coming from Japan. So I contact Japan, and they say your account is American, so we can't help you. So I contact America. They say you're in Japan, we can't help you. So I'm in this like bizarre limbo. And even if I tried like using VPNs and stuff to like make my IP address American, but they are so worried about that for whatever reason that they detect it. Like it blocks you, like it denies you from using online support or anything if it detects a VPN. So Sony, has really been difficult. So I have to like convert. I just have to kind of start again and convert everything over to Japanese so that I'm 100% my accounts and my machines and everything are Japanese. Otherwise, I have no recourse. They literally give me no customer support. It's very strange. Yes. Yeah, Rodrigo, you are very right. Sony is really bad, and it's weird. I don't know why they have to be so bad. And I realized very quickly too, like they had a Twitter, like you could direct message them on Twitter, and they responded. I'm like, oh wait, I'm talking to a bot. This is nothing. This will do nothing. So it's only if I wanted like a phone number or something that would be useful. Yeah, but I tried to go around in every possible way. I wanted to get a refund for something that a purchase that I thought was it was a weird thing where there's something that was in my cart on sale. Then when I clicked it, it didn't show that the price had reverted to the pre-sale price. I didn't know the sale was over, so I got charged this like full price, $60 price. I'm like, no, this is not. I don't want this if it's no longer on sale, and their software didn't help you at all. It didn't give you a current price on it, so it still said it was like $2, and then I got charged the full amount. So I tried to get a refund. No way, nothing, no how, wasn't going to happen. And everything I read said if you charge back on Sony, like I could the way I could have resolved it is just gone to the bank and the credit card company deny it, just charge it back. But then they say that they literally will just delete your PlayStation account. They'll just be like, nope, you can never purchase anything again from the PlayStation Store because you screwed us once. So crazy. Well, Rodrigo, yeah, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. And hopefully see you again in the chat. Yeah, take care, and see you next time. So about this time every week we're doing this in some way or another. All right, Matt, are you ready to resolve the ethical dilemma that you've stumbled upon on Fosterian 2? Yeah, I should. I spent the time doing that character art. I should post the NPC stuff on social media. I'm really bad at that. I just get everything ready for the session, and then I guess I could share this as well. Yeah, it's weird. I wonder. Right. Matt is locking on phasers. All right. Yeah, very good. Yeah, so we'll see how that winds up. Yeah, so it'll be interesting because the adventures, there are 3 acts. Like all of these Star Trek adventures are 3 acts, but they're pretty quick. So they could almost be played in a session, but I think like with our timing and everything, it's just going to be harder to ever. I think it's always going to be 2. I think each one of these will always be 2 sessions because they're not long enough, like VSN or anything, that they can extend into 3. There's not as much detail in them, but I think 1 would be ideal. That would be pretty cool, but I think we would need like 6 hours, and that's just not doable. Trying directive schmerective. Oh yeah, and I just read that. So I was reviewing the values and determination rules, and they said too that the same way you can challenge your values, you can challenge the prime directive or any other directives. I mean, maybe the prime directive is not a good thing to challenge, but you can challenge those directives to get a mechanical benefit the same way you can challenge values. So you can generate determination from that, but there will be consequences with Starfleet. Like later on, you could be reprimanded, or what they use for their advances. So your career, basically, you could damage your career is the way that they handle that. So I think that's interesting. We'll have to see if anybody is daring enough to go to go against any of your directives. Nice. Oh, Abyss said, I once got my account banned. I had an account on multiple PlayStations, tracking console IDs and marked mine as suspicious. That's insane. Yeah, it took a week to get it back. Yeah, that's insane. yeah, the system, it seems just like really lazy. They do things in a really lazy way. And I actually know a guy that worked for a company that Sony bought and then ended up working with the PlayStation people, said it was horrifying how bad and insecure most of their systems were. They would just write customer data in like flat text files that were just stored on unsecured servers online and stuff. Like they had really, really huge security problems and really just simplistic, silly ways that they handled a lot of very important functions of PlayStation Network and customer accounts and stuff. So, but they've gotten hacked, I think, pretty. I mean, I'm sure they've had to improve it since then. This was quite a while that I talked to him about that. But yeah, they. I'm sure they've regretted that. Yeah, it's funny, and it's, you know, they have to maintain, both Xbox and PlayStation have to maintain those networks with a lot of kids on them that a lot of, you know, obnoxious 11-year-old kids that like to use gamer words on their network and stuff. So that has to be insane to like have, you know, those customers and then have to actually deal with you know, paying adults and stuff that run into problems with their systems. And then, yeah, just so worried about scamming and cheating, and yeah, it's very weird, that whole game thing. Oh yeah, and I got to start. This is not tabletop related, but RPG related. Starfield. Starfield went free, or went live for all of the Game Pass subscribers. So we had to wait until the 6th, unless we wanted to pay $40 or whatever to get the early access. But it's pretty boring so far. You know, the look of it is okay. It's not. I keep thinking stylistically and the mechanics and everything seem very much like No Man's Sky. So I don't know what they're going to do different. And No Man's Sky is so much more visually appealing. It's got that like kind of weird psychedelic, you know, day glow color schemes and kind of cartoony, you know, alien look. So I don't know what they're going to be doing differently, other than being Bethesda. What they're going to be doing differently. That makes it more interesting. But yeah, so far it's just like, it doesn't, you know, you don't start off as a prisoner going to your execution, or you don't start off, you know, with your child being taken from you in a vault, you know, waking up in a vault after the apocalypse. So it's, the beginning of it is really weak. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, those kids are exactly why I never play Overwatch with team voice chat. Yes, that's true. Yeah, I had some funny experiences playing. I played a little bit of that because of Game Pass. That Exoprimal, that dinosaur shooting game that Capcom made. So it's just an online shooter, team shooter with dinosaurs. You are shooting dinosaurs the whole time. And a couple of the dads obviously were playing, and they had their microphones on, but the microphone was picking up basically everything in the room. So I got to listen to them argue with their like little infant sons. Just like the kids just asking, why in Japanese, you know, over and over again. Why? What do you do? Why? So I think he was trying to get attention from his dad, get him to stop playing this game. And so I got to hear the whole drama. The guy just had the microphone turned on the whole time. Just got to hear it. Yes, Space Skyrim. Yeah, they'll just be releasing it infinitely. Yeah, the setting though is kind of boring. I don't think this like, we're so past this idea of, wow, the exploration of space and the infinite possibilities and wow. Like it comes across really, really boring, and like, oh no, there's pirates. You know, that it's yeah, I don't know. Nothing seemed to have a lot of personality yet, and everything just feels very sterile and weird. And it's of course the Bethesda, like gray and brown, everything. But it's not like really worn, like really, you know, like in that weird Star Wars way or whatever. It's not that weird, cruddy looking sci-fi. It's just like, I think it's like 2300, so like 24th century. Everyone's still wearing very recognizable kind of, you know, NASA astronaut suits. I don't know. People love Bethesda games. Hate Total Biscuit's quote on Skyrim, but it fits everything. Like Fallout 3 and Oblivion and Fallout 4. Yeah. Skyrim is wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle. Yes, that's very true. Yeah, because it is the exact same system again. Yeah, it's the exact same thing again, and just picking up a bunch of paper cups and things. Yeah, that weird inventory system and everything. I haven't gotten very deep into it, so I don't know what crafting or anything is like. But yeah, the space travel is a little clunky. Did you see someone hacked it and proved all the planets are connected and you can move from one to another? No. Oh, no, I'll have to look for that. Oh, that's so lame. Yeah, the interface and the travel stuff kind of sucks. Like, so many games have done that so much better. I just don't like how they set it up because you can look at a map and on your ship, or there's ways to always look at the map, but it always reverts to where you're actually located. So there's like some ways that you have to tell it to, leave a planet and do this before you can navigate. You have to do this like whole sequence where you get in your ship, you take off, now you're in orbit, now you plot the path to the next thing. It's very weird. And maybe it's just early game because I don't have all my fast travel stuff yet. Like I haven't been places, but the early game travel is like, ugh, this is silly. Nice. Oh yeah, it does load quite a bit. Yeah, I'm just on a PlayStation S, or PlayStation. No, what is a PlayStation? I'm on an Xbox S, the low power disc, no disc, like all digital Xbox. I'm probably mostly going to play it on cloud. That's the only thing that kind of made me want to give it a shot and spend some time with it. Is I can play it like on my PC, on a tablet, all with the Xbox controller, or on the Xbox S on the TV. So there's a bunch of different places I can. So if anybody chases me away from whatever, or if like the computer is rendering something and I can't give up that processing power, there's like a couple different options. So I thought I'd spend some time with it. But yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it is quite a bit of weird loading, just jumping between things and loading, and just like, for this, I waited for this. Yeah. Once you start paying attention and counting the loading screens, yeah, when you're doing side quests, is pretty insane. Ugh, yeah, I can't believe. I guess it's better. It's probably better on the PC, but yeah, the console loading screens are definitely there. Yeah, and I thought I had a bug at first, so I logged out of the game completely and went back in, and God, it takes a long time to log into that game if you've got any data that it needs to load. So we'll see. Yeah, it may be Starfield to be one of those slow burns. Someone will do some mods that'll like get people excited about it or whatever. I just can't wait till Thomas the Tank Engine is available in Starfield. Yeah, I like the I found a channel, a YouTube streamer that just plays modded games, and he's like plays games with all the mods, or like as many mods as possible, almost crashing the game. So it replaces all of like the main character models, like the enemies or any of the mobs or anything, the models in RPG games, with just like ridiculous random pop culture stuff, with like audio samples of those characters and stuff. So like Patrick from SpongeBob or whatever is just like randomly thrown in these games, and it's and I think somebody loads the game and he plays them like sight unseen, so he doesn't know like what's going to pop up or what's going to be replaced in the game. So like for Doom or a lot of stuff, it ends up being pretty funny to watch like games that are insanely modded out of control. So Starfield is headed there, I'm sure. Yeah, it hasn't been around long enough, and people are already saying that the some mods are not working well with the game already, so people are having trouble. So I don't know. They got to make it as mod friendly as possible if they want it to have that long life. Found that there are other mod sites. Oh, there's other mods. Other than Nexus mods. Yeah. Yes, that is true. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Right now, it's not very exciting, and I don't like that. That introducing you to the explorers group, Constellation or whatever they're called in the game. That's not exciting, and it's not interesting at all, and the characters are so boring, and yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. Oh, but the one thing that I was shocked by, that you rarely see in the game, so your character doesn't talk, so they don't give your character a voice, so it's just that Bethesda first person RPG where you never say anything. They show you sometimes, but you never say anything. And you can play third person. You can change the view, the character view, which is cool. But the robot, I gave my character a name, and it knew my character's last name, so it called me Captain whatever by the last name. So I was like, damn. So it's a simple last name. His last name is just Lee, but the robot called me Captain Lee in the game, and I was completely shocked because they rarely do that unless you're choosing from like preset options or whatever. But and maybe just the robot does it because his voice may be just generated, whereas the other characters wouldn't. But yeah, that was pretty cool. They had that little detail in there where as soon as you take over the ship and that robot is working with you, he starts calling you by your name. So now I want to go back and make another character with an insane name and see if it tries to pronounce it. Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, they called me Captain Lee. I did like the fattest, oldest character possible in character generation, and then called him Morbid Lee, as in morbidly obese. But yeah, it was called Captain Lee by the robot. Hey Quark, how's it going? Very cool. Yeah, good to see you in the chat. Yeah, and thanks for all the comments on the videos. That helps us a lot. I'm glad to see you there. Yeah, so should be talking to. Oh, yeah, that's right. I really didn't. I think I handled it before. I meant to say during the actual podcast that we got a comment. Got a comment from Mikael Bergström, the designer working on Luna City Blues that did Cthulhu, the Swedish designer, and he said, hey, didn't know you were a Mutant Chronicles fan as well. Don't remember if it came up the last time we spoke. Of course, I'll be up for an interview. So, yeah, I'll be talking to him about Luna City. I can't wait. That's really exciting. I mean, it's really, really happy to see that project happening, because that was such a disappointment when Modiphius just kind of unceremoniously just said, yeah, we're done with this. And I heard some talk. I won't cite any of my sources, but I heard some talk that that they kind of screwed things up with the Siege of the Citadel. The campaign didn't go well, the whole process, because it ran over, it was like 4 years delayed to do the full game. I think they were a little too ambitious. Maybe they should have started with just the core game, because that shipped in just a couple of years. But it waited like almost 4 years for the full thing to get released. And I think during that time, they were still paying a license for Mutant Chronicles, and maybe they had to until that thing completely fulfilled. But they were just like, yeah, we're just losing money at this. So they were trying to cut the cord. And I think the difficulty of fulfilling Siege of the Citadel was the big responsible for that, because it got to be more than they bargained for. But and there's still, they said, was it last year or this year that they said by June, I think maybe it was June this year, by June they would be done. All Siege of the Citadel stuff will be, no more Mutant Chronicles, anything on the site. It's done. But Modiphius still has. They're still trying to sell. So obviously they couldn't get rid of them. They're still trying to sell different parts of that Siege of the Citadel Mutant Chronicles board game campaign on their stores. It's still there. And so I guess they just can't get rid of it. And I'd love to buy some extra stuff from that game, but the shipping is just insane. The shipping is out of control. So there's just no way, either from America or the UK, like both are just too brutal. But yeah, they said, we're done. We lost but it's still there. So maybe they made some arrangement. Maybe there's some special consideration. They're being generous to let them actually get rid of their overstock. But you can get some random stuff. Nobody's been too impressed with some of the miniatures for that game. but they're there. They are available. Yeah, and we're still, I guess they're smoke testing the pledge manager for Warzone Eternal. So I think the only thing I pledged for is the book on that. But Miguel, if you're listening, I will add some things. If you wanted to get a starter box or something, we can split some shipping. If there's somebody that I can actually play with, I would definitely add some stuff. But yeah, they're going to start testing. So they're moving along. I haven't heard. The Chronopia has been a little quiet, but they seem to be okay. There's a couple of people freaking out, of course. There always is in the comments for the Chronopia Kickstarter. But things seem to be moving along. That they're showing, they're showing the COcast and stuff coming out. So those miniatures are moving along as well. So I wonder which one, because they were pretty close. Well, no, the original. That's right. The original campaign, the original Warzone Eternal was pretty close to Chronopia, but they canceled the first attempt. So I wonder which one we're going to get first. I got a lot of dwarves coming. I got for Chronopia, I've got a pretty good spread though, because they gave you a lot of options. Like in one of their big sets, they give you a starter set and let you pick the factions, and then they give you all of the miniatures they made for another faction, their commander pledge or whatever it was. So I'll have a nice spread of all of the miniatures that they did for the different factions in that game. So I can't wait. I'm looking forward to Chronopia. They may have previewed the rule book. Yeah, that's what I want to see more of too. I want to see a PDF, or maybe once the Pledge Manager launches, the PDF for Warzone Eternal will be available, because I'm going to see those rules as well. Nice. Oh yeah, that's the thing. Some people are saying that Abyss says Baldur's Gate 3 is fun. Yeah, that's taken the wind out of Starfield's sails, because there's so many interesting moral decisions and characterization and stuff in Baldur's Gate 3, an interesting story, that the blandness of Starfield is kind of like I'm just going to lean heavy into jetpacks and see if it makes it more fun in Starfield. But I'm considering. I'm thinking I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait until Baldur's Gate is on console, just so it's easier for me to do, and I can cloud play it. So Baldur's Gate has so much freedom and choice and consequence for every action. Yeah, I really like that. I enjoyed watching some of the videos of the mistakes you can make or the worst things you can do in Baldur's Gate 3, like some of the worst choices. There's some good stuff in there. Just really weird stuff with a whole sexual content, because it gets pushed onto you as the player pretty hard. Wow. And you even get mocked later in the game if you avoid it. Wow, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah, but it's Larian, right? Larian Studios. So yeah, they're independent. As long as they, don't piss off wizards, and they've got that license, they can do that. So I guess it's all the your demon folk are promiscuous. Can't express just how insane the story choice diversity is in that game. That's cool. Yeah, people are saying the opposite about Starfield. Like, you can stumble on to these conspiracies and things, and reveal these characters to be traitors or whatever, but then there's no consequence. He's still there as an NPC. Good to go back and talk to him again, and it's like nothing ever happened. So yeah, they didn't handle it that well. That's funny. Quark saying yes. Starfield looks bland. I'm personally waiting for the expansion for. Oh yes, yeah, Phantom Liberty. Yeah, that's the first thing that I thought. Just dealing with the interface and everything of Starfield, I would rather be playing Cyberpunk. Maybe I should just do a playthrough of Cyberpunk again. That was the first thing that I felt. Just learning the interface and everything of Starfield is I don't like this. I know I want to do Cyberpunk again. So yeah, Phantom Liberty should be good, and it's gonna be kind of their excuse to also upgrade a lot of systems and stuff. I think you have to, Phantom Liberty is gonna force you to respec your character, because they changed how cybernetics work and everything, and how the skills and things work. So you'll have to respec to play, but it'll be fun. Saying good versus bad choices have equal amounts of where their paths can take them, and even mix them. That's really morally gray. Has equal amount. Yeah, that's good. I think and that's what I enjoyed in the Witcher 3 and stuff, is when you make bad choices, even if they're just bad hairstyle choices. There's consequences. Yeah, it's weird. And I don't like the games that pretend that exists in their systems where it really doesn't. Nice. Yeah, I definitely am looking forward to. I really want to. I've played. finished my second playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077 a while ago, and it's really made me want to play that setting on the tabletop. So I think that's coming out pretty soon. I think the source book for Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out. So that might be something, I really want to try, because I feel like I know that world so well now, and know that time and that what's going on just from the game, that I think it'd be fun to play around in that. And Idris Elba is gonna be good. Yeah, it's nice. They got another like very recognizable actor. God, they must be paying so much money. Keanu Reeves and Idris Elba. That's insane. And Keanu's back, right? Like, there's more. There's going to be more Johnny Silverhand in there. But you can run off into the forest and get killed by gnolls day one. That's a must for me in all Baldur's Gate. Yeah, that's right. In all Baldur's Gate games. Oh, man. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Matt's got a PS5. I can't believe living in Japan, it's still so hard for me to get a PS5. But I've gotten frustrated because of my PlayStation account. I think I'm just going to stick with Game Pass for a while, just so I can PC or console it. And also, I think I've gone on about this before, but the cloud play in Japan is really good because the internet is really stable, it's really fast. So cloud play has no lag. Sometimes, you'll get some connection interference, but it just kind of like blurs it and then redraws the screen clearly. So it's like, because it's streaming, it's basically what PlayStation Now tried to be. It's streaming from a computer, a server somewhere in Japan, but because that's not very far, anywhere in Japan is not very far, the connection is really good. So I've really loved playing games, and it's nice you can jump between PC, console, or cloud, and your saves are there, your game state is there. Basically, you can just pause a game, go to the other, and it just bring up that same game state. It's pretty cool. I think that's only because of Japan. I can't imagine that even working at all in the U.S. Yeah, but it says, yes, there are gnolls. There is that option. Well, we know what Matt's going to be doing. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, but I think I'm going to be waiting for a console release as well. So Matt and I will be talking about Baldur's Gate next year. Baldur's Gate 3 next year sometime. So don't spoil all of the difficult ethical choices, Abyss. It seems like there's so much. Like there's so many possible party members, like NPCs that can join your party, and they all have interesting backstories and stuff, that they're asking you to do. And if you fuck it up, it gets quite complicated. So yeah, good stuff. I keep sticking my hand in that syrup that Chris used for the coffee. Yuck. The visual horror is hard to wipe from my memory. Oh, wow, that's cool. Yeah, that was the thing. So watching some Baldur's Gate 3 videos, I kept like forgetting it's D&D. Like it had, I don't know, because it's got a feel to it. Like it's got a look and a feel to it, more like Planescape, or like it has there's horror and everything in it. Like there was some really horrific stuff, and it's like, yeah, this is D&D. And it's so funny because the way that the art and the and Critical Role, and the way that 5e, like my image of it is not interesting or dark or anything, but Baldur's Gate has that game has a vibe that I would like to play, and I'd like to play a game like that, but I don't think that's the common that would be I don't know, there was something striking that's really stood out. It's like, oh right, yeah, this is D&D. This is just like straight D&D. And yeah, I don't know. It's very weird. I don't know what's going on. So like just taking the movie, like what they did in the movie and Baldur's Gate 3, if they would have made the Baldur's Gate the movie, definitely would have been much more interesting than what they ended up doing with those characters. And yeah, so that's weird. I think yeah, D&D needs to, or maybe they don't, because then they would alienate parts of their player base. But yeah, it has a feel that I have to keep reminding myself, yeah, that's right, this is Dungeons and Dragons. So if you don't fight back or have not rested up, oh, you get killed by gnolls. Nice. Well, you have to stream that, Matt. So if you get that for your PS5, you have to get one of those adapters so you can stream stream your gameplay. And we want to see you immediately get murdered by gnolls. I had no idea how disturbing hyenas are with the gnolls. The visual horror is hard, yes. And if you pick the Dark Urge main character, then be prepared. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I saw some of the examples of that online. Yeah, there's some really some really dark stuff. Yeah, I guess that's the whole difficulty with that property, is it's a setting, like Forgotten Realms or any of the established settings are settings, but everybody plays them to their taste, so you can't really nail it down. I'm sure people have played some really heartwarming gentle sessions of Dark Sun. I mean, who knows what people get up to, but yeah, it's funny. So I was dreading that they would that they would put in Critical Role people. Yeah, that's the thing that we're gonna see, because video games do that way too much, is digitally scan recognizable personalities. What was I just saw something like that. There was a bunch of like Twitch streamers or whatever that showed up in some game. Yeah, that's nobody wants that. I guess the streamers do, because they get another payday, but they get to make more money off of their popularity. All right. Well, yeah. So back to prepping for tomorrow's Star Trek. Yeah. So about the same time, we'll probably be finishing about the same time. But yeah, around the same time that we started, we'll be doing Star Trek tomorrow. So Matt, Will, Terry, and I will finish up the cure, disease worse, the cure worse than the disease adventure for our first try at Star Trek. So Star Trek Adventures, yeah. So keep an eye out. Subscribe to the channel if you want to get notified when that goes live. If you're lurking and curious about what's going on, and you can listen to the raw stream of our actual play, and it'll be Foundry. So you'll see my Foundry desktop, and then you'll hear the audio from the session. All right, complete with some background sound effects and music, hopefully. That's right. I gotta take some of that old school stuff out before we start Foundry again. All right. So yes, yeah. Take care, Matt. Get ready for tomorrow. Have a good night. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, Matt and Abyss. Good to see you, Rodrigo. Thanks for the sub. Quark, it was great to see you live in the chat. So nice to have everybody here. So yeah, we'll be doing this again next week. Some Star Trek tomorrow, and some more unboxings and things. There's a couple of things I need to take a look at. I got some monsters and stuff I need to show you guys very soon. Nice. I gotta support a good minion worshiper. Nice. Yeah, I gotta remember that. Yeah, it's gonna be a while, I think, until I get a chance to play Baldur's Gate. Nice. Oh, cool. Yeah. Thanks. Good to see you if you're online tomorrow. Thanks, Quark. We'll have a good game. Yeah, I can't wait to see how they decide to resolve things tomorrow. And yeah, so the first session, if you want to listen to that, is online on the channel, and also our session 0, the character creation. So that struggling a little bit with Foundry during that. So that, but it's good. It's good to see how everybody came up with what they're playing. So yeah, a couple of sessions of Star Trek are already on the channel. So take care, everyone, and this audio, of course, will be on the RSS for the Patreon. And thank you, everyone that's a member or a patron. I really appreciate your support, and thanks so much for being here for us for so long. And we'll be back again soon. So see you tomorrow in Star Trek Adventures, and otherwise see you next week on The Weekly. Goodbye.